Good day, grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's business studies lesson. My name is Tsidiso Tlaka, and we look into presentation and data response. However, we focus on application questions. Now, we have the first application question, which instructs us to say, read the scenario below and answer questions that follow. We have a scenario, and the business that is in the scenario is called JJ Traders. Now let us read the scenario. John, the owner of JJ Traders, has a presentation with potential investors. He has prepared a rough draft of the presentation with a logical structure with an introduction, body, and conclusion. He also had to prepare for a feedback session by anticipating possible questions. Now, let us check the questions that we have to answer. The first question says to us, quote 2 factors that John considered when preparing for a presentation. And the second one says to us, discuss other factors that John considered or has to consider when preparing for a presentation. Now, let us go to answering. Quote basically means you have to take a response as it is from the scenario so that you get allocated your marks as they are and in the correct way. So we have a scenario, and the scenario has answers for us. Hence we are saying quote 2 factors that John considered. Now, John, as we're saying, is the owner of JJ Traders. There's no answer there. And John has a presentation with potential investors. We don't have an answer there as well. However, immediately we go to the other sentence that follows. They say he has to prepare for a rough draft, or he has prepared a rough draft of the presentation with logical structure, which included the introduction, body, and conclusion. Now you go to your question. The question says factors to be considered when preparing. So this is an aspect that John has done while he was preparing for the presentation. He had prepared, as said, prepared a rough draft of the presentation with a logical structure, which included introduction, body, and conclusion. So this sentence is to be considered. He also had to prepare for a feedback session by anticipating possible questions. So that sentence as well has to be quoted. So what do you do when you quote? You take the sentence as it is, and the sentence is to us, he has prepared a rough draft of the presentation with logical structure with an introduction, body, and conclusion. Then another aspect is that he also had to prepare for feedback session by anticipating We're anticipating possible questions. Now, those are two ways in which John used to prepare for a presentation. But we have a follow-on question which says to us, discuss other factors that John considered when he was preparing for a presentation, or the other factors that John had to consider when he was preparing for a presentation. John has to make sure that he has a clear purpose, and the main points of the presentation should also be clear. And then another aspect is that John has to be fully conversant with the content and the objectives of the presentation. Then another aspect is that he should consider the time frame of the presentation. To say, if he's saying the presentation will be an hour, he should make sure that the content he prepares would cover that hour. And then he should also rehearse to ensure that he has a confident presentation during the day of the presentation. So with that being said, let us take a short break and we will continue with the other two activities and then wrap up our lesson.